So can social anxiety be genetic? Like maybe I was passed down this anxiety by my parents, or maybe I should just accept this social anxiety or this personality because it's just so deeply ingrained into my DNA. There's no hope for change. Okay, so if these are the questions that you have a burning desire, you need the answers. I'm gonna answer these. I'm gonna put this to rest once and for all in this video. Okay, so let's not waste any time. Let's go right now. All right, so right off the bat, I'm just gonna give you what you came here for. Can social anxiety be genetic? The answer is no. Okay, straight up, it's a no. It's developed, and the whole nature versus nurture thing comes into play here, okay? So this is what I want to help you understand in this video. Before I do that, I just want to welcome you to the channel if you're new. My name is Rubin, and I help individuals eliminate their anxiety attacks and social anxiety. So if that's something you struggle with, hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit the bell notification so that you can be notified right away when I release videos just like this one that are going to really help you along your recovery journey. Okay, so let's get back to this nature versus nurture, or this genetic predisposition as opposed to your environment and your upbringing, things like that. All right, so your nature, your genetic predisposition, it does play a role, but it's not as big as you think. Your genetic predisposition can influence or increase the likelihood that you will develop social anxiety. But at best, you can have a genetic predisposition to having a bit of general anxiety or being generally anxious. Think about that as your natural temperament. Right? Everybody, so if you look say at a family, and you'll see maybe one sibling is they have a temperament that's more extroverted, more outgoing, more aggressive, and then the next sibling has a more introverted, right? They have a more introverted temperament. They're more quiet, okay? Think about that as your natural temperament. But even if you have that genetic predisposition or that natural temperament to be a little bit shy, a little bit quiet, right? Nurture can reverse all that. So let's say that little bit quiet person was nurtured. They had the emotional support growing up. They had good friends. They had, all their needs were met. Growing up, they're not going to develop social anxiety, which is the extreme fear of being judged and humiliated, being evaluated negatively by other people, constantly walking around scanning other people for danger and extreme self-consciousness, okay? So can you see how that's different than being, genetically predisposed to being a little bit generally anxious, okay? That person who is generally anxious can still sit with people comfortably, can still connect with people comfortably, without feeling that extreme paranoia that they're going to be judged and humiliated. So you see there's a very big distinction here. But with the right nurture, that nature can change, okay? That nature, because they've been in that supportive environment, that becomes their norm. They're used to being in supportive environments. Their body's not in this constant fight or flight or this discomfort all the time, feeling on edge all the time. This is the norm because of the nurture they went through. Now, this could even be in reverse. Let's say there was, I've seen this oftentimes myself, is you see somebody who's more outgoing as a child or a teenager, and then they go through, so they don't even have the genetic predisposition to develop social anxiety. They're more extroverted, they're more out there, they're more friendly, right? But then they go through traumatic experiences. Maybe they get bullied at some point, and then their disposition changes. So once again, we can see that they have a different nature early on, but then the nurture, the environment, their experiences, what they went through, it changed the way they conduct themselves interpersonally. It changed their personality. It changed the level of comfort they're able to feel around other people. So nobody comes into this world with extreme self-consciousness and hypervigilance and insane physical symptoms because they feel like they're going to be embarrassed and humiliated. Okay, that's developed. Okay, so if you want to learn more, what you can do is download your free ebook. I'm going to link it below the video. Okay, so in this ebook, I talk in depth how social anxiety is developed, how it restructures your brain, how it programs you in a way to make you hypervigilant, to make you self-conscious, to make you just not comfortable in your own skin, okay? So I highly encourage you to download that and read that for free, okay? So now I want to go into, I want to talk to you more about some of the work I've done with my students, okay? Now, some of my students, and I want to give you real examples here. So in our mentorship program, I've had students who come through, they've had supportive parents. They've had supportive parents. They had a good, family life growing up. And then all of a sudden they go through bullying. They can get this bullying thing is just, it's so prevalent and it's so underestimated for how it really fuels this social anxiety and how it truly causes it to develop. So for example, family life was great, but then they went through the school system. They're getting bullied for the way they look, right? They get bullied for the way they look. They get bullied for, maybe their personality is a little bit off or a little bit quirky, so they get bullied for that. I've had students who have been bullied for being gay, for their race. Myself, racially charged bullying was a huge part of my experience growing up. There's so much to this. Sometimes the parents can be the bullies. So they don't even have the supportive environment growing up. Being harshly criticized over and over by parents, constantly being shamed, told they're wrong. Not being celebrated is still going to cause social anxiety. Think about it. It doesn't even have to be super traumatic. It could be just neglectful. If you were never celebrated, if you never praised for doing anything good, if you were brought up in a home, like for me, for example, if you were brought up in a home where there was no love and affection in that home, it's going to completely wire you in a certain way. If you've never been celebrated or praised for anything, and you're wondering why you don't feel like you can contribute and give your opinions in groups and in conversations. You don't feel worthy enough to state your opinion and be bold. Well, that's because of old wiring. It all happens through this nurturing or this conditioning that we go through the various systems, family, school, work, all of these different systems that we go through. They all have an impact. They all have an influence on whether or not we make the best of our natural genetic predisposition. I was helping one of my students work through some of his social anxiety, and we were working through to some of the past kind of experiences that made him develop this anxiety, right? And I remember one of the memories that he worked through was going up to, say, for example, a group of Asian women. They were playing jump rope, and essentially he wanted to play. He's just a little kid. He wants to play. He wants to join the group. And the people in the group said, "You're not allowed to play with us because you're not Asian, right? You're not one of us. You don't belong here." Now, it doesn't seem like anything traumatic, but think about the child. Think about a young 6-year-old. You're not one of us. You don't belong, right? That leads to so much a feeling like there's something wrong with me. They don't like me. They won't let me play with them because there's something wrong with me. That's the big thing, is that shame is such a huge factor that children, and when you're younger, you internalize these different painful experiences as it's your fault. Because there's something about you. That's why it happened to you. And these emotionally painful experiences, whether you think they were super traumatic or not, okay? One of the biggest mistakes I see is people are in denial. They don't think it's a big deal, okay? But when you go through these painful experiences, For a 6-year-old, that's extremely painful. Whether you think it is or not, as you know, your adult self, you don't think it's a big deal. In that moment, the 6-year-old was absolutely, heartbroken when that happened. Okay. But when you go through these emotionally painful experiences, they're actually stored away in a different area of the brain, and they reconfigure your brain. Okay. So they reconfigure your brain in a way. They take a snapshot of what you felt in that moment. They take a snapshot that was so painful, that equals danger. And what you do is you will adapt your behavior now to not feel that ever again. So for example, our student's not going to just randomly go up to groups with open arms anymore. He's not going to just sit in groups and be completely at ease, right? It's based on the experiences. That is not a genetic thing that happened. It's through experiences, through painful experiences that actually restructure your brain. They reconfigure your emotional brain to be constantly on edge, to be scanning for danger, because you do not want to experience that emotional pain ever again. That is the job of the emotional brain. It's to keep you alive. It's to keep you away from danger. It's to modify your behavior. So it's essentially trying to keep you alive. The thing is, it's just lost perspective. Okay. So as you get older, it just doesn't realize now that being rejected by a group or being, excluded by somebody, it's not going to kill you. The brain doesn't know that. It's still caught up in the past. And so how does it keep you alive? It gives you the physical symptoms, the racing heart, the feeling of breathlessness. You get dizzy and confused because your brain is just dumping all these stress hormones into your body in those times. You get dizzy and all these things. You feel nauseous. Okay. So that's its way of keeping you alive. It's blanking out your mind on purpose because you don't want to use your mind when you're in danger. You want to use your body and escape the situation. So to wrap this up, social anxiety is not genetic. You might have a bit of a predisposition to be generally anxious, a little anxious, but the important thing here, it's a nurture game. It's the environment. It's the support or lack of support you get that makes the best of your natural temperament or your genetic predisposition. Okay, that is the game changer. That is what's caused you to develop this social anxiety. If you want to learn more, what you could do is follow me on Instagram. I post a ton of content, tips, daily inspiration, just a ton of inspiration that's going to help you along your recovery journey. And you can also join our Facebook group. Both links are going to be below the video. You can join that group if you want to come in, connect, ask questions, and just be a part of a community that's dedicated to this anxiety and recovery from it. So if you like the video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, see you later.